Tony and Ziva's secret night together in NCIS Season 24 revealed. The lights of Washington, D.C. shimmered against the rain-soaked streets as Tony DiNozzo quietly stepped out of his car. After years away from NCIS, his return felt both familiar and completely different. The building held memories of victories, heartbreaks, and one woman who had changed his life forever, Ziva David. Officially, Tony had returned to help the team investigate a sophisticated international security breach connected to his private security company. But unofficially, he carried another reason in his heart. He wanted a moment alone with Ziva, a chance to breathe without danger interrupting them. Following the emotional ending of NCIS, Tony and Ziva rebuilt their relationship while raising their daughter, Tally. Recent reports also confirm Michael Weatherly's return to NCIS Season 24, fueling excitement among longtime fans. After a demanding day of interviews and evidence reviews, Parker quietly noticed Tony checking his phone. "Everything okay?" Parker asked. Tony smiled. "Yeah, just someone I've been waiting to see." Meanwhile, across town, Ziva waited inside a quiet rooftop restaurant overlooking the city skyline. She wore a simple dark jacket instead of tactical gear, but her alert eyes still scanned every entrance. Tony finally arrived. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Some reunions didn't need words. Tony smiled first. "I missed this." Ziva raised an eyebrow. "Being late?" He laughed. "No, seeing you." She couldn't hide her smile anymore. Dinner wasn't glamorous. It wasn't expensive. It didn't need to be. For two people who had spent years running from enemies, protecting loved ones, and sacrificing personal happiness, the quiet conversation felt more valuable than any celebration. They talked about Tally's newest adventures in school. Tony joked about becoming an overprotective father. Ziva teased him that he had already been one for years. They laughed harder than either expected. For one evening, there were no gunfights, no secret missions, no countdown clocks, just Tony and Ziva. Later, they walked through the nearly empty streets beneath the city lights. Rain began falling softly. Tony looked up. "Remember when every mission somehow ended with us soaking wet?" Ziva laughed. "I remember you complaining every single time. I was preserving my movie star looks." "You never had movie star looks." "Ouch." She gently nudged his shoulder. "You had something better." Tony looked curious. "What?" "You always made me laugh." His playful expression slowly became something more emotional. "You know, there were years when I thought we'd never get another night like this." Ziva nodded quietly. "So did I." They stopped beside the reflecting pool. The monuments glowed in the distance. Neither rushed the silence. Sometimes peace was louder than conversation. Tony finally spoke. "I spent so much time wondering if we had missed our chance." Ziva looked directly into his eyes. "We did not miss it. We survived it." That simple sentence carried years of history. They remembered Paris. They remembered loss. They remembered finding each other again. Every difficult moment had brought them here. Tony reached for her hand. She didn't hesitate. For a long moment, they simply stood together, watching the rain ripple across the water. No dramatic speeches, no impossible promises, only quiet certainty. Back at NCIS headquarters, McGee glanced toward Parker. "You think Tony disappeared for work?" Parker smiled knowingly. "I think some cases can wait until tomorrow." The next morning, Tony returned, looking surprisingly refreshed. Knight immediately noticed. "You look happy." Tony shrugged innocently. "I slept well." Torres laughed. "Nobody smiles like that after sleeping." McGee added, "Especially DiNozzo." Tony simply grinned. No comment. Across the hallway, Ziva entered carrying a case file. For only a brief second, their eyes met. The smallest smile passed between them before both returned to professional focus. Nobody else noticed, or perhaps everyone did. Later that afternoon, the investigation uncovered a crucial encrypted message hidden inside financial records from Tony's security company. The breakthrough could finally expose the organization responsible for targeting international intelligence agencies. Tony and Ziva immediately slipped back into mission mode. Professional, focused, perfectly synchronized. Watching them work together reminded everyone why they had once been one of NCIS's greatest partnerships. Without speaking, they anticipated each other's next move. Tony noticed overlooked clues. Ziva predicted suspect behavior. Together, they solved problems faster than anyone expected. Even Parker admitted, "I understand the legends now." As the operation reached its climax, the team successfully stopped the conspiracy before classified information could be sold to foreign buyers. The mission ended without losing a single agent. Back at headquarters, Director Parker congratulated everyone. "You all earned some time off." Tony smiled. "I know exactly how I'm spending mine." Later that evening, Tony and Ziva sat together on a quiet balcony overlooking the city one last time before returning home to Tali. There were no dramatic declarations, only gratitude. Tony softly said, "We've spent so many years surviving." Ziva rested her head against his shoulder. "Now we get to live." The city lights sparkled below as the future finally looked brighter than the past. For longtime NCIS fans, perhaps that is the greatest reward of all, not another explosion or shocking twist, but seeing two beloved characters finally find the peace they had fought so hard to earn. If Season 24 continues building on that emotional foundation, Tony and Ziva's secret night together may not be remembered for action or danger, but for something even more powerful. Two partners choosing each other once again after everything. Tony and Ziva's secret night together in NCIS Season 24 Revealed Part 2. The following morning, NCIS headquarters buzzed with its usual energy. Agents hurried through the bullpen carrying files and coffee, while computer screens flashed with new intelligence reports. To everyone else, it was just another workday. For Tony and Ziva, however, everything felt different. The quiet evening they had shared had reminded them of something they had nearly forgotten, that even in the middle of dangerous missions, they could still find peace in each other's company. McGee noticed it first. Tony wasn't making endless movie references. He wasn't trying to distract Torres with outrageous jokes. Instead, he was focused, calm, comfortable. "You've changed," McGee observed. Tony smirked. "I prefer the term matured." Torres laughed. "That's a dangerous word coming from Donazzo." Before Tony could answer, Director Parker entered with urgent news. "Conference room, now." Within minutes, the team gathered around the digital display. A confidential intelligence file had been stolen from a European security network only hours earlier. The encrypted transmission pointed toward an international broker connected to one of Ziva's former undercover operations. Everyone looked toward her. Ziva studied the image carefully. "I know this man." The room fell silent. "He disappeared years ago. I believed he was dead." Tony exchanged a concerned glance with her. "If he's alive?" "He knows exactly how I work," Ziva finished quietly. Parker assigned Tony and Ziva to lead the field operation. As they prepared their equipment, Tony noticed Ziva standing alone in the evidence room. "You okay?" She nodded. "I have faced him before. But not alone this time." For a moment, she simply looked at him. "I know." Those two words carried more reassurance than any long speech ever could. That evening, the pair traveled to an abandoned shipping terminal near the harbor. Rain clouds rolled overhead as waves crashed against the docks. Tony adjusted his earpiece. "McGee, you still with us?" "Loud and clear." "Torres? Watching your six?" The warehouse looked abandoned, but Ziva immediately spotted fresh tire tracks leading inside. "He is here." The two slipped silently through the shadows, moving with the effortless coordination that had once made them NCIS's most effective team. Inside, rows of shipping containers formed a maze. Suddenly, footsteps. Tony raised his weapon. A figure emerged. Not the suspect, a frightened informant. "They're moving tonight," the man whispered nervously. "Where?" Ziva asked. "The airport." Before he could say another word, a distant gunshot echoed through the warehouse. Glass shattered. Tony pulled the informant behind cover while Ziva immediately identified the sniper's position. Second floor. Without hesitation, she sprinted toward the staircase. Tony followed. Their movements were perfectly synchronized, just like old times. After a tense pursuit across the catwalks, they cornered the sniper. But the mysterious broker had already escaped. Back at headquarters, Parker reviewed the operation. We lost him. Ziva shook her head. No. Everyone looked confused. He wanted us to find him. McGee frowned. A trap? Tony smiled slightly, which means he made a mistake. Torres crossed his arms. How? Tony pointed toward the recovered sniper rifle. He left us evidence. Casey soon confirmed Tony's theory. The weapon contained microscopic traces linking it to a hidden airfield outside Washington. Parker immediately authorized another operation. As everyone prepared to leave, Tony quietly walked beside Ziva. Looks like date night is officially over. She smiled. It was worth it. Tony grinned. Definitely. For the first time in years, neither of them questioned what came next. Whatever danger waited ahead, they would face it together, as partners, as parents to Tali, and as two people who had rediscovered the trust and love that had always connected them. Outside, storm clouds gathered once more over Washington. Somewhere in the darkness, their enemy was already planning his next move. And Tony DiNozzo had a feeling the biggest challenge of season 24 was only just beginning.